name's Rock. There ain't none higher. I get 12 points off the word quagmire. Sorry.
What are we? It's been so long. To fourth wall break. We have had so many technical difficulties over the last, not just week, but the last 2 weeks of trying to record this here episode of the Fairly KickAss podcast, which is why we don't have a fun intro. Also, because we never do. What are you expecting? Have you listened to this podcast? So we're gonna jump right into it. It's 1990 Billboard Rerank. You know it, you love it. You listen to some of the other ones. If you haven't, you should. We've done a lot of years at this point. We've probably done like 15 of these. And this time around, it was the year that was 1990.
It sure was the year that happened. And man, it happened a lot.
There was a lot of 1990 to go around.
Well, again, there was a lot of 1990, but we get to question what exactly 1990 was, which is something we kind of always hit around, not the end of a decade, but definitely the beginning of a decade, which we've talked about. I think we did like 2001.
Yeah, just those transitional periods. I would love to do something more with that concept, because I know we brought it up before. I know we brought it up when we talked about 2001 or a different year that was like at the beginning of the 2000s decade. And I'm sure that if we went back in time, we would see the same sorts of themes like at the beginning of the 80s, the beginning of even the 60s, etc. So maybe something more to come of that in a future episode of this here podcast.
I mean, it's something, and I think we definitely dove into it. And I think we've done something else in the early 90s where we can kind of talk about it, because it's one of those rare instances where, at least for the beginning of the 90s, it took pop a second to figure out what it was, and then it actually kind of evolved into a couple new genres, as opposed to maybe 2001. It was an evolution of genres in 2001 where we were birthing new ones in like 92 and 93.
Very true. Very, very true.
All new stuffs.
Needless to say, it was a weird year, actually.
So weird.
But not as bad as I would have expected.
I actually found it quite
great.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. There was some absolutely great stuff.
And on average, I think better than it. Like, I mean, really, credit where credit's due, there's some ass. But on average, much better than most of the years that we've done, I think.
Yes, absolutely agree.
It made listening wonderful. It made ranking really hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least for me, there was a lot that could have been in my top 10.
It made it hard at the top. It made it pretty easy at the bottom.
That's facts. That is facts.
I have a feeling, and I know we didn't really get a chance to talk about crossover too much before we started, but I have a feeling like the top might not cross over as much, but the bottom should.
Yeah.
I hope it does.
Should.
Well, just to give a little bit of an overview for those who are not familiar with our format, we will go through and around, like Dan and Jay mentioned, the tops and bottoms of our list. We'll kind of give an honorable mention, which is like our 10 through 6, and then we'll go in around 5, 4, 3, 2. We'll dive to the bottom of the list, go through as many of those as we like to. Sometimes it's the bottom 10, sometimes it's the bottom 5. It really depends on vibes. What we're feeling in the moment. And then we'll sprout back up to end on a high note with all of our number ones.
Yep.
We drew lots in the back before the show. And Dan, you ended up drawing the short lot. Is that how lots work? I know big lots. That's the only lots I'm familiar with.
I'm not completely sure what a lot even is when it comes to being drawn. I don't think anyone's ever given me a definition.
Yeah, now come to think of it, no idea. Anyone in the social media will tell you how. Anyone in the social media, no, that's not how it works at all. Dan, you're going first.
I just want to say that you made that statement and your beard entirely turned white. It was impressive.
I am a pile of dust in this moment.
much like Lot in the Bible.
Oh, that's what gets drawn. Okay.
Nah.
Okay.
Pillars of sand. Anyway, that was no. Moving on.
something about a stone salt over your shoulder to ward off bad. I don't know. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is I should do my 10 through 6 and then give you my 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And my number 10 fits into that, the wrapping up of genres, because I have Go West as number 10 with King of Wishful Thinking, because it was perhaps the last great sophistopop hit single. And maybe that is itself is something we should dig into more in another show. More personal one at number 9 is Billy Joel and We Didn't Start the Fire, because it's a solid pop rock song that is elevated by its karaoke challenge level. At number 8, It Must Have Been Love and Roxette. I will certainly talk a lot today about power ballads gone wrong, but this one is one gone oh so right. Emotional, powerful, musically moving, a home run in said genre. At number 7, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. It is difficult to cover a Prince song and not only do it justice, but inject a layer of emotion above and beyond his original intent. Sinead does that and so much more with simplicity instead of embellishment. Like, we don't need the music video to convey the tear rolling down her cheek. It is all in her phrasing. And at number 6, I have Tom Petty and Free Fallin'. I also could have sworn this one came out a few years later, but I am so glad it counts for 1990. Absolutely one of his top 3 best.
It's funny for me. I actually thought that had come out earlier.
Yeah, every track that you just mentioned, except for one, is in my top 14. One is slightly lower than, and we'll talk about that in a little while.
And everything you said is in my top 30.
That is rare.
Yeah.
Even saying that there's one that's more of a personal one, and for that to still be top 30, that's impressive.
Yeah. Your 10 through 6 killed it, dude. But what about your number 5? I have to imagine it's just going to keep rolling with the overlap from me and Jay.
I think so. If there was one thing that we can say about 1990 and what it has in spades, that was ballads. The quality was all over the place, but the quantity was up there with the few of the years of the late 80s that we've done. I don't know if like 87 or 88 is going to be outdone in ballads anytime soon. But ballad gets made because people listen to them. That's a human thing, apparently. I say all of that to say that at least one good one was made, and it made a name for an artist, a rare debut single that topped the charts, but one that would begin an historic run that technically could continue, though not going to happen with her most recent one. So forget about the latest. At number 5, it's the first, as Mariah Carey's March to the Solo Artist with the most number ones in chart history began in 1990 with Vision of Love. Less a debut single and more a powerful proclamation. Vision of Love gave us a look at everything that was coming our way from this dynamic new artist. Right from the beginning, the opening verse leads off with her underrated lower range, hypnotically carrying you to the chorus, where you are promptly blown out of the box by the power and grace of one of pop's premier vocal talents of this or that or any generation.
I will not argue with you about her talent.
I don't know exactly how old she was when she recorded Visions of Love, but it was either 20 or 21. And she sounded like that when she was 20 or it's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair. Yeah. I'm amazed. I mean, obviously, like a lot of these artists, a lot of these tracks are going to be ones that we're just like kind of nodding like, of course, and this is certainly one of them.
Sure.
Still top 30 for me.
Yeah, same. Down at 27. But as we talk about it, probably a little lower than it should be, to be fair, on my list.
Yeah, I have it at 30.
It's the most vocally impressive song on this entire list, without a doubt.
That is probably true, yeah.
I'll go with that. The real question is, how impressive are the 6 through 10 and number 5 of whoever drew the middle lot?
I think that was me.
Go for it.
And I say I think because I didn't actually do a thing. I'm making it up as we go.
Cool.
So my number 10 is probably going to be the most contentious thing on my entire top 10 list. And I don't care because I love Forever by Kiss. Yes, on this track, Paul Stanley embodies his middle name of Bert, sounding more like a Sesame Street character than he does the part of a proper ballad vocalist. And yes, Michael Bolton co-wrote the song, which, listen to it. Of course he did. The only shocking part is that he didn't take it as one of his own. But damn, it just inexplicably hits for me. That's my personal pet project of a song for this list. Everything else I've played, I feel like, to the bone. Number 9, roll 1, Prince, Thieves in the Temple. Prince goes in with some absolute fire, and we are all the better for it. Number 8, Something Happened on the Way to Heaven by Phil Collins. I do love Phil, and this is, in my opinion, one of his best solo tracks. Cheesy in 2025, sure, but it's a good cheese. It's like a nice Emmett Taylor, if you will. Number 7, Ready or Not by After 7. One of the low-key best R&B jams on this track and of the early 90s as a whole. After 7 always sounded so smooth, both in their individual parts and in their harmonies together. And they evoke a bit of emotion on this, very emotional romantic track. It's a good one. And at number 6, Shock G Forever, Humpty Hump Forever, It's Digital Underground, and the Humpty Dance. One of the funnest songs from one of the funnest acts of the time, and arguably of any time.
Well, I can say that of your 10 through 6, that all of them made my top 85.
Yes.
I will say of your 10 through 6 that 4 of them made my top 40. And legitimately what I wrote for Phil Collins, which ended up tied for 19. This is all a personal ranking, but one of my favorite Collins songs. Also, great horns. Although the overall sound is very 1987, 1988.
Oh, 100%. It's a product of its time for sure.
Yeah.
I have that down at 55 because it's so sappy.
It is. It absolutely is. It is,
Yeah.
like he said, it is a giant slice of cheese.
Yeah.
But come on,
yeah.
man, the horns.
The horns are good.
I have it at 55. I don't know that I can agree with my own ranking, but that's where it wound up by score. So
Nice.
I did have Another Day in Paradise significantly higher, though.
I feel like
Actually,
most people would, but
here's the best part. As I said, this is personal. It's one of my favorite. Another Day in Paradise was tied for 11th.
Nice.
It is an overall better song. It really is.
yeah, objectively, I agree, 100%.
So what did you have at number 6 or number 5?
So number 5 entries. If we're looking at the full year-end list of different years, and obviously we've done a lot of these, there are certainly artists that get on this year-end chart, 2-3 times. 5 times is not a record, though. As much as it seems like it's absurd, and it is absurd, that's 5% of the entire list of one artist. It's not the overall record, which I found according to a Reddit post. That record belongs to a tie between Drake and Cardi B, who both notched 8 back in 2018, which is absurd, which is actually literally absurd. But even though it's not a record, 5 is nothing to sneeze at. And it goes to show the absolute dominance that my number 5 artist had during this time period and in the years prior and in many of the years after as well. Her best entry of the 5 on this list, for my money, was the lovely Come Back to Me, a delightful ballad by someone who absolutely took over the charts in the 80s and well into the 90s, being one Janet Jackson. This track is quintessential ballad Janet, with her beautiful vocals dotting subtle production, solid in at least in as much as 1990s production or 1990 production can get. It didn't need to be much. It shouldn't have been much, and it wasn't much because the production wasn't what needed to happen. We needed Janet, we wanted Janet, and we got Janet on this track. It's soft, it's tender. It sounds like she's trying to invite a cloud back into the storm formation. This was every bit as wonderful as any of those other nice ballads that you might hear, late at night on the radio.
I think I have that ranked lowest among her songs, and that's still not bad.
I don't, but it is one of 4 that I have in the top 30. I think All Right is the only one that slid out of the top 30.
Oh, yeah, that one's down farther. You're right. I do have that one down farther.
It's fine. When you do that and you hit 5 in the top, 5 in the year-end Hot 100, and 5 on that record hit number 1, it's okay to have a miss. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as y'all. All 5 for me are in the top 45, and All Right is the lowest too. So at least we all overlap on that.
Yeah.
Jay, I guess you're up to bat in the 3rd slot today. Hit us with your 10 through 6, and then your number 5.
So I will say, to start it off, I have Another Day in Paradise at 12 and Roxette's It Must Have Been Love at 11. So I'm like right there with the Phil Collins and the Roxette. My top 10, though, at number 10, I have Aerosmith's Janie's Got a Gun, because social consciousness, cool guitar parts, and inarguably one of the best voices in rock and roll. What else can you ask for? At number 9, I have the B-52s and Love Shack. I mean, come on. Number 8, I have Alana Miles and Black Velvet. I don't really know why I love that song as much as I do, except that it's one of the most composed songs on this list, and her voice is amazing. Yeah. At number 7, I've got Shock G. Listen to this. Digital Underground, The Humpty Dance. Can you think of a more fun track on this chart? With the exception of maybe the B-52s. This is like the only one that's like pure enjoyment. At number 6, remember what I just said about pure enjoyment? This is Biz Markie and Just a Friend. Because, I mean, come on. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, once again, very, very few arguments to be had about
very few means you have one, though.
No. I actually don't. I think Just a Friend was the lowest one of all the ones you just mentioned. That was 36. Honestly, it's not bad.
Holy. Are you in my doc? You're not. Okay.
You made me worried for a second.
The lowest one I have is Just a Friend at 35.
Holy shit.
Wow. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised that one is as high on your list as it is, because I mean, objectively, it's not a great song.
No, but it's exactly what you said. It is one of the most fun songs of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so good. Oh shit! No, I lied. Sorry, Janie's Got a Gun is down at 41, which still is honestly not bad.
Killing me.
Still, like, there's nothing that you said was even remotely hateable at all.
Janie's Got a Gun, I had at 20. If that helped, it makes you feel any better there.
Nice.
It'll balance it out.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Well, what about your number 5?
So I didn't write much about my number 5 track, and it's because I understand that it probably shouldn't be here, but the song title says it all. The song is epic, and that is Faith No More's song, Epic. It is on an island on this chart. It is the only song on this chart that is like a rock song. There's some hair metal on here, and we'll get into that here in a moment, but this is the only one that is truly a rock song in the way of it's loud and it's messy. It is not a clean cut, overproduced monstrosity. It's rock. This is rock and roll. And Mike Patton is a genius in that he incorporated elements of hip hop and created this thing that is bigger than the sum of its parts. It's epic.
Shout out to friend of the show, Mike Patton.
Yeah.
For as much as we've talked about him over the years, I mean, he might as well be.
Yeah.
This is definitely a song without an auditory equal on this entire chart, for sure.
Yeah.
And that uniqueness does granted, at least a little bit of kind of bonus points in my book. Like I had it at 21. I feel like if it was a different genre that was a little more represented, it probably would have been a bit lower. But yeah, it sounds like nothing else, at least in this small sample size.
I think between the song and his haircut in the video, it is pure 1990.
And I appreciate that too. Like, I'd rather have a song that sounds like it's supposed to be in that era than one that like holds up, quote unquote.
Completely agree there. Completely agree.
Dan, are we going to completely agree with your number 4 track?
Yes. Well, one of you already will. So I'll take it from a first to a biggest, from the classic ballad turned up to 11 to a jam session that spliced the weird together to add up to 11. It seems like yet another classic, a standard bearer for what we might think of as the alternative scene of the late 80s and into 1990. A single that the lead singer knew was his band's most accessible and commercial song, and yet still had to go to radio stations with their A&R person to convince stations to play the track. But since its release in June of 89 and subsequent bubbling up into 1990 has given us a funky little place where we can get together. At number 4, it is the B-52s and Love Shack. And that bit might be the best place to start with the song. Goofy. It is admittedly quite goofy and doesn't take itself seriously, owning that oddness. Because at its core, it is 4.5 minutes of the most fun pop music you could ask for. It is different, it's eccentric, but it's packed with energy and a tight groove. I love that it does what it says on the tin. We're going to tell you about a funky place to party, which is exactly what the song does. Don't get hung up on what exactly tin roof rusted is supposed to mean. It means there's a tin roof on this place that we're going to jam at, and it's rusty as dicks. Don't climb up on top of it. Stick to the dance floor. Enjoy yourself. Reviewers at the time were actually kind of weirded out by it, but time and wisdom have brought many scholars around to the correct position that Love Shack is one of the best charting singles of 1990 and one of the most fun, most infectious, most playful songs of all time, of ever.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. In fact, I didn't say it better. I said it far worse.
It was unsaid in a better way. Like, yeah, I want to disagree with anything, with something, and it's just not happening. Like, this is just pure joy in a song, and it is today too. I mean, it may be still a product of its time, absolutely, but it's still every bit as fun today as it was in 1990.
Yeah, I think the room still lights up whenever you put it on. I don't think that has ever diminished.
Yeah, good choice. I think I had it at 18, so right there. Any of my top 20 could have easily been in my top 10, so it's
that's a pretty
right with you.
That's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah. That includes my number 4, which coincidentally did make it into my top 10, but in a different universe could have certainly been lower on my list because of how many great songs there were in this year. And that number 4 is certainly, as much as it is a 1990 song, it certainly skews earlier with its sound because it's more at home in the 80s. You know, perhaps kind of like Love Shack in that way. It definitely kind of presents itself more like an 80s song than a 90s song. And even to go a bit further, like, I wouldn't at all be surprised if you told me that this song was released like in the late 1970s. It is a capital R rock song, and it's a capital R rock song in the way that only a capital R rocker can do it, such as one Tom Petty. The song is Free Fallin'. Hop in the car to go visit your homie in Reseda, California, and cue up Free Fallin' on repeat while you drive. Unfortunately for all of us, that's well over a full day's drive, so we are going to have a lot of this song in our future. Probably better to fly, all told. None of that has anything to do with the song, though. It's iconic. This song is absolutely iconic. It is absolutely of its time, and like I said, of an earlier time, and still of a time where you would listen to it in 2025 and not miss a beat. One of, if not the most sing-alongable choruses on this entire list. One of, if not the most earwormy hooks on this entire list. Lyrically, it's what it has to be. It's not necessarily poetic, and no Tom Petty song truly is, at least not many of them. I'm sure you can find some examples that are more flowing with the prose than Free Falling. But it's simple, it's effective, and it's perfect for what it needs to be. It is a fantastic song.
Tis.
I got nothing to add. I mean, I was only 2 spots behind you with it, so.
Mm-hmm.
And felt the same way. Like I said, I actually thought it went the other way and was released a little later in the 90s, but
yeah, you did say that's right. That's interesting that we'd feel like kind of diametrically opposed about that. That's cool.
Yeah, I have it at 29, but I feel like a lot of that is due to my distaste of the John Mayer version.
Ew, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it does. And it's not that he butchers the song, he just does it in his voice, which is not Tom Petty's. And it ruins
that's
something.
The wrong voice for this song.
But I mean, I like the song, and it's still, 29. It's my top 30, but like, I don't know.
John Mayer out here ruining it for everyone.
Right?
Yeah.
As he so frequently does.
Well, I hope at least that he did not cover and subsequently ruin your number 4, Jeff.
I don't think I would mind hearing him attempt, because it wouldn't work. My number 4 track is the perfect Janet Jackson song. Clearly, Zach, you disagree with me on this one, but it has big energy, rebellious attitude, dance breaks for days, but it isn't excruciatingly long. That's Rhythm Nation. For me, it's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Janet Jackson, and therefore it tops her songs on my list, which cracks the top 5 for me.
Is it weird it's not? That Nasty is the first thing that pops into my head of that, strictly because of the line, Janet Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was the thing that lodged in. Rhythm Nation close behind it, though.
It's the music for this, like the beat and the...
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of quintessential Janet on this list. I would certainly agree with both of you. And it's one of those that no one else could. I mean, we joke about John Mayer covering the song, which would be an appropriate train wreck. But no one can do Rhythm Nation. This is a Janet Jackson track through and through. It's tailor-made.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I think the only other person that could have done Rhythm Nation is Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it.
I would have loved to have heard the attempt, yeah. It would have been better than Scream.
Would have been better than Scream. Yeah.
I unabashedly love that song too.
Look, you can love a song and still admit, not their best work.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From either of them.
Yeah, for sure. Then I think we swing back around to the number threes. Dan, is your number three a track that you both love and that you think is objectively good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So how about another breakthrough single for the top of this list, huh? 1990 seemed to have a good amount of them, despite the identity crisis as a musical year we talked about at length here. And once again, we travel into a world that would have been considered alternative for yet another pop crossover that came with hyperbole most appropriate for the track. Because while everything good nowadays gets tagged as being epic, Faith No More were the originators of that in the pop world. Let me rave about the song for a second, and then I want Jay to confirm or deny my thoughts about where it sits in their catalog.
Okay.
So the first thing you notice throughout the track is that it absolutely lives up to the name. It sounds like an epic, right from the opening chords, through the bass and drum-driven verses, and into those big choruses punctuated with Mike Patton's unique voice and into that solo. The song just sounds huge and open and all-encompassing. It was a perfect way to announce to the rock world that your band has arrived and is coming to take their shot with the force of a track like this. And yeah, it's absolutely radio ready and could be said to have been written to force open the door to the charts and mainstream awareness and success. An argument also could be made this is very much of its time, which I'm sure we would, although I'm not convinced necessarily of that. And I think you can probably draw a direct line from epic to rock bands working in similarly big areas like maybe Muse currently. Another argument that Faith No More walked into the mainstream spotlight so that Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden and others could run into it, which is a conversation what could be had another time. But finally, I would point, while this song is very, very good, to me, not even their best work. Midlife Crisis is certainly a contender, and I would also put out another track that was from the Angel Dust album, but a live version that was included on the international single re-release of Epic, and that is As the Worm Turns.
I have no argument with that.
Nice and simple, then.
Yeah, no. I feel like Epic is toward the top of their catalog, mostly because in a lot of the same way that, the B-52s have decided that, Love Shack was their most pop accessible tune. Epic is probably Faith No More's most pop accessible tune.
Right.
I mean, it's no Jizz Lobber, but
what is
exactly?
But what is exactly? So I don't know. I feel like Midlife Crisis would be up there. I think something from Album of the Year. I can't remember the name of the song. I'm singing it in my head and I can't come up with the name of the song. I'm so good at this. Or their version of War Pigs would be
okay.
would be on my list too.
That would be
Or King for a Day is pretty great. Like there's Ashes to Ashes. It just hit me. Ashes to Ashes is the other one from Album of the Year. Ugh. Anyway, yes, love Faith No More. Just terrible with song titles.
Well, luckily, the song title to my number three has already been mentioned once. Otherwise, I might forget it, knowing me. And despite all the misconceptions that hopefully I wasn't the only one having about what the hell this song was actually about until I was embarrassingly old and figured out what it was actually about, knowing what it is about. Like, why would I sit here and put a song at number three on my list? Why would I care about a song that has covered a topic that has been covered ad nauseum in most part by the artist himself, and that is the life and times of one Elvis Presley. Why the hell would I give a shit about a song about Elvis? The answer is that I don't in most cases, but I really, really do care about Black Velvet by Alana Miles because it is so incredibly good. It's already been mentioned that the vocals are just on another level. Alana just croons this song into the stratosphere. She waxes poetic about the king of rock and roll with the laziest, and I mean that in a good way, by the way, the laziest guitar droning on in the background. From the influence of the great, in his own right, country musician Jimmy Rogers, to Elvis's own rise to prominence. About 3.5 hours west of where I sit right now in Memphis, Tennessee, Alana delivers the story like a bard of sorts, recounting the tale as kind of a Homerian ode, if I may, retelling the victories and the defeat, in this case, the untimely passing of, the titular hero. Yeah, it's a song delivered in a really cool way, and it's a really cool song that I still absolutely adore to this day.
Cool. I think you just articulated why I love the song so much too, even though I couldn't have done that when I made it my number 8.
Hell yeah.
And I think the best part, as you mentioned, uniquely telling this story is that the song smolders is the best way I can describe it.
That's
and again, not
description,
not the adjective you'd expect to use about a storytelling song, but still wholly accurate.
Yeah.
Jay, does your song smolder, as it were?
No.
Number 3?
Nope, it sure doesn't. It sort of does the opposite of that. It sets fire. Nope, that didn't work. My number 3, I would say, is the song that is the epitome of 1990. It is a dance track, though now I can really only see Turk doing it. That's Belle Biv DeVoe's Poison. Listen, it's hip hop. It's got pop flair. Something about New Jack Swing on my nuts. That's it. Clearly, as personal as this list got to me, I was looking for the fun at the top of this list. And this song it's sort of an aesthetic love song, kind of. But it's just fun. It doesn't matter what it's about. You just want to jam with these guys. And that's what I love about it.
I already am in my head, so you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're picturing Turk doing it.
Absolutely.
I feel like, to me, like the re-rank of these objectively and the re-rank of these in terms of like a fun factor would be two somewhat different lists. And on the second list, Poison would be a top 5 song for sure. Objectively, it is a bit lower than that, but it's the sing-along ability is undeniable. The funness of the track is undeniable. I have no problems with this track at all. I love it.
I agree, but I want to know how much lower, because it's top 40 for me.
It's exactly 40 for me.
Okay, so like literally in the same spot again.
Jesus.
So I was
Someone hacked someone.
for
I just
a second.
don't know.
Like, was that y'all or was that just me?
What about your number 2, Dan? Did you hack that from somebody?
It could be. I think. Okay, so one of the many music-based arguments that one can have, and we frequently have had. As a matter of fact, I think we need to make that happen in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that. But because I see it happening in a unique place, like a 2-story affair with a run-of-the-mill dance club on the second floor in a converted old ballroom, and then like a speakeasy-themed whiskey bar on the ground floor. But the piece de la resistance for these particular purposes would be massive booths, like clad in leather, and a large circular table in the middle where bourbons would be sipped, the piss would be taken, and music arguments would waft through the room like the bouquet of a Romeo y Julieta White Churchill. And one of the most back and forth of those arguments would be over what makes a perfect pop song. And I, of course, would have to introduce the caveat that those requirements would change depending on the year that we're talking about, which is handy here since we're talking about the year of DeVito 1990. And my submission into that discussion would be Janet Jackson with her third appearance in this show with Escapade. Is this the perfect pop song for 1990? It just may be. First and foremost, it is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at their producing peaks, generating the third of 7 top 5 singles from Rhythm Nation 1814. It's one of their lightest and airiest hits that is driven by this pounding beat and, of course, Jackson's vocals, very much in a Motown tradition. And maybe that's why it feels like the perfect pop song to me. It's in the style of a Motown classic, just amped up for late 80s style and production. But it's loud, it is bright, it's shiny, everything that made Motown stand up and be noticed, with one of the more talented vocals tapped to breathe life into what was kind of a factory production, but still.
Man, the imagery that you painted in the run up to talking about this song it stuck in my head. The Romeo y Julieta especially is just like wafting in the room.
If the bar doesn't exist, we're going to open it.
Got to do it. Got to do it. Like you said, you already gave it the name. It's Barguments. You do not come here to agree with people. You come here to state your case and have it judged by a jury of your peers who are also relatively slosh like you are.
We're going to need so many bouncers.
It's going to get feisty. I would posit that no one in this soon to be realistic establishment would argue that Escapade belongs in the place where you put it on your list, or at the very least, very high on said list as another one of Janet's many classics and many like signature songs. Escapade is certainly right there, part and parcel with the rest of them.
Yeah, it's my number 2 for her on this list. I have it at 19.
Yeah, well, it's 37 for me, but again, the top 40 is like the top 10. So
yeah, it is. This year, it is kind of like that. But what exists in the number 2 slot on yours? I got you.
Nice. I got sniped. I got to admit it. I used to not like my number 2 artist at all. Not because I didn't like his vocals, not because I didn't like his songs, but because I was a kid. And you too probably experience this. Listeners, you probably experience this. Like, it was, and probably still is to some extent, patently uncool to like the music that your parents did. No matter if you actually liked it or not, you wouldn't cop to it because, like, this isn't hip. Like, these are the olds. These are, what we know as the boomers. Obviously, we didn't talk like that when the three of us were growing up. Like, no one who would consider themselves a cool kid in like the 90s would then follow that up by saying, and also, have you heard the latest Luther Vandross track? Just wouldn't happen. Just wouldn't happen. But as I got older and realized that the things that were uncool as we were kids were actually cool, and we just didn't realize it, Luther Vandross very quickly rose to the top of my personal list of artists, and to this day remains one of my favorite vocalists. And Here and Now, while not my favorite Luther Vandross song by any stretch, is still a Luther Vandross song, and by that measure, it is still amazing and still very worthy of being my number 2. It was first included in a best of album, but Here and Now is the love song lover's love song. I'd have to imagine that the Jam has gotten a lot of run, especially in the 90s, probably not as much today, but like in the school dance circuit, in the wedding circuit, and has since fallen by the wayside a bit. I don't know if it remains one of Luther's more popular songs. I guess probably not, but still just a beautiful, understated jam from someone who could absolutely sing. This was more of a subtle approach to him. And I think the song really benefited and really shined because of it. It showed that he didn't have to really bring the pipes to every single song to make it a hit. And this was, by all accounts, an absolute hit.
I can go back to something you referenced way earlier to where this song opened up and why it's sitting at number 29 for me. And that is going back to The Quiet Storm. And that is where I think of it as having that kind of radio airplay, that late night quiet jam in the background. Might be a candle on or two. That's up to you. Candle on because you just flick a switch and the candle pops on. Good Lord. Been a long week, folks. What can I say?
Yeah, it was a long week today.
Exactly.
You're not wrong. Well, Jay is, Is your number 2 song a long song? Is it of average length? Because I know we really haven't talked about like song lengths at all in any of these. I don't think there's anything that was like obscenely long, but how does your number 2 stack up there?
It's got a little length to it, but it's not a terribly long song. It's actually already been mentioned once, so I can give you this pretty quickly. But we could do a whole thing on songs that are historically important. We've talked a few times about that, but there are a limited number of songs wherein history is important to the song. So I'm going to talk about "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel. It's a bullet-pointed syllabus for a history class set to a beat, and it's an amazing voice telling us what's up. So this song belongs on this list at number 2.
I want to back up your assertion there, because it actually was for me in AP American History in high school, like the final like 5 weeks of the year. I think we'd already taken the actual AP test, so we're just going through modern history, and our teacher used this as sort of the framework as she moved through post World War I or II, excuse me, up to the late 80s.
Mm-hmm. Well, 1990 or 89, roughly.
Yeah.
And there's even like I even enjoy the updated version as given to us by Fall Out Boy. So the song still holds up.
Again, a statement I did not think I would ever agree with, but yes.
Yeah.
Is there a Library of Congress entry for music? There is, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would have to imagine that this is a part of that list. If it's not, it should be.
I don't know. There's not a lot of songs on that list.
Yeah. It's probably more like standards, right? Like
no, there's a lot of there's rock albums and pop albums on that list, but there's not a ton of them.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see that. That might be something we could do something fun with in the future. But yeah, this like you mentioned, songs that are historically important. This certainly is both itself historically important, and obviously all of the things that it references are themselves also historic. So it's kind of meta historically important.
Yes.
So that brings us through all of our lists through number 2. We are going to get to our number 1s, but first we have to get to a different kind of number 2, and that is the bottoms of our list. So, Dan, if you wanted, again, this is all on vibes, whatever we want to share, however many of the bottom of our lists. But Dan, feel free, let it rip.
You know how I roll, so I got full 10 for you.
Boy.
Yeah, if I can sprint through 91 to 95 and then give you 96.
Love it.
Sounds good.
All right, let's hope so. Let me start at number 91. Motley Crue and Without You. I don't know why this thing's, well, I know why. It sucks. But it sounds like the furthest thing for a Motley Crue song. It sounds like a Jesse and the Rippers song. At number 92, we have Johnny Gill and Rub You the Right Way. Because there's something rather uncomfortable about hearing "I'll rub you the right way" over and over again. And I think mostly it's because there isn't a metaphor built around that statement, a la being a genie in a bottle. Because that one makes sense. But unless he's referencing his certifications as a massage therapist, not great. I mean, the track is just meh outside of that, but that just pushes it down the hill. I'm ready for the fleck. Let's go. Number 93, Vanilla Ice and Ice Ice Baby. Look, there's no doubt this song is iconic, for better or for worse, but it's not really for all the right reasons, is it?
It's bad.
I mean, everything this song is, I mean, tell us, it's milquetoast hip-hop. There's not much to the beat. There's next to nothing to the flow. And there's no sign of the intensity that was just about to help define the entire genre. But at heart, Ice Ice Baby is a gimmick at best and terrible song the rest of the way home.
That's a really good point. The juxtaposition of this track against the backdrop of the East Coast West Coast rivalry that was to come in the next couple of years. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I still have it 2 spots higher than Forever.
You're 2 spots higher than Forever.
Number 94, Snap the Power. All right, when I reordered these 100 songs by my review scores, I couldn't honestly remember why the Power ended up on this side of the ledger, and maybe that's its biggest sin. and because at the time when like techno and house and dance were having their brightest time in the sun, like chart wise, all genres expected to be bombastic and big and over the top. The Power was a lie. What it really was just a forgettable dance track that didn't do a ton, and it didn't do it over a runtime of nearly 6 fucking minutes.
Ew.
Thankfully, there was a shorter single cut, but that was still 4 minutes. There's those song length things you were talking about.
Yeah, I could have done with 20 seconds of this song and it would have been perfect.
Uh-huh.
I have that song at number 20.
Oof.
Hey, it's your forever.
There you go.
We all need one.
Yeah, but did it have to be Kiss? No.
No, it didn't.
At number 95, Tommy Page, and I'll Be Your Everything. Because, hey, kids, it's the NKOTB spinoff that we absolutely, completely, positively, totally didn't need. There were a number of soft rock ballads done well this year, and this was so far from one of those, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, I know you didn't mention this term in terms of this track, but Milquetoast is absolutely.
Absolutely.
For sure. Oh.
So before I continue, do you guys just have your bottom 5?
No, I can do 91 through.
Yeah, same.
Okay, well then let me do that then. Let me kick it to you, Zach, and give you 90. Or do you want me to, let's do it like that's oh fuck it. I'll do 96 now. Let's make it up as I go. Then we'll do it that way through. Because at 9 like speaking of new kids, because we talked about that, they were all over the very late 80s and very early 90s. The kings of the boy band scene at the turn of the decade, they were riding high off their 8 times platinum sophomore record, Hangin' Tough. 8 million records, producing 4 top 3 hits, including some of the most well-known tracks of the decade. I mean, You Got It, The Right Stuff, I'll Be Loving You Forever, I Will Never Hit Any of Those Notes, and Cover Girl, and then that album's title track. And I say all of that to point out that they had a track record of hit making with songs that were well produced and would be classics of the genre if this end of the genre is your cup of tea. Which makes the inclusion of This One's for the Children on their 1989 Christmas record more baffling and frustrating. Because in an age where charity hits were all the rage, this is easily the weakest attempt at delivering a heartfelt message I have heard. When your plea for help starts with you just saying, "This is a very important message, so all of you, please listen," it sounds less like you're going to try to rouse me to feed the world and more like you're the middle school principal trying to do announcements the last week of school when no one's paying attention. Seriously, there's like 9 other charity songs crammed into this one, as they believe that children are our future and they're not heavy, they're our brothers, and while we are the ones who will make it a brighter day for them as long as they know that it's Christmas. But at heart, it's barely a song. It's just a whole. The production is all the pop ballad cliches, complete with a kids choir to top that one off, all run through a bunch of filters to make the final product weaker than watered down skim milk.
No arguments.
None. 0. I had it at number 85. It's admittedly I did not listen to the rest of the Christmas album that this song was nestled in as the first track of said Christmas album. So we immediately start on a downer. It's a song that didn't need to exist. If you just literally create the same album with the only other 9 tracks on it, it's objectively better. I'm not saying it's good, but it's objectively better.
I have more to say about it shortly.
Okay.
All right, Zach, what's your 91 through 96, I guess?
My 91 is going to immediately make enemies for the two of you and for everyone else listening. It's a song that's already been discussed. It's a song that I have lauded praise over already, literally 5 minutes ago. And it's a song that is just objectively not good. And that song is We Didn't Start the Fire. As a song, this is not a good song.
Oh.
Full stop. As a historical vehicle and as an important piece of music history, this very clearly belongs where it is in the pantheon of being a relevant song. Objectively, as a song, it's just a dude talking about things that happened. I could do that too. I could set that to music as well. The music isn't particularly great.
Okay.
That's like all songs.
all songs are not reading off of a Wikipedia article. Yes, I know Wikipedia didn't exist in 1990, but it was in book form. It was there. You just had like 26 editions of it.
No, I meant as in they just say things that happen, but that's fine. That's fine. I just feel less bad about a couple more of my songs on this. Then.
I don't know if this or Kiss is worse, but I'm open. I have my ears open for for any and all complaints.
You will.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly disagree with your take on that song, but that's okay.
Well, I will say that the rest of my takes are probably not as incendiary as that one. Two to Make It Right at 92. It's a terrible half-hearted half cover of an already half good song. I probably would have put the original in the 70s. The cover is even worse. 93, already mentioned, I'll Be Your Everything by Tommy Page. Objectively and subjectively, the worst example of what would become at least one of the signature sounds of the probably year before and the 2 years after 1990. There were so many better examples of this particular song, and this was the worst example of it. Number 94, Swing the Mood, Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers. It's not a song. It's a medley. It's an awful medley of 18 old as dirt songs. Why this medley exists, it's unclear to this day why someone thought that this was a thing that needed to happen. I'm sure it was just something that was put out for like some album for the children, New Kids on the Block. This was for the children, and it just happened to chart because life is unfair.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate your take on that particular song. More to come.
Yes, most excellent. Watch it, BJ's number one. I would lose my shit. I would be gone. And at number 5 and at number 6, the rare tie on my list, because these two songs could be the same song for all I know. As up until this point, and probably for the rest of my life, I will only be able to get through the first 30 seconds of either of them, and that is All or Nothing and Blame It on the Rain, both of which big hits from one Milli Vanilli. Take your pick, whichever one you want to put in 95 or 96, slot them however you'd like, and then fire them both into the sun, because that is where they belong.
I have nothing to say for the majority of that, because All or Nothing I have at 88, Two to Make It Right at 89, and Blame It on the Rain at 90.
I have Blame It on the Rain significantly higher, but not the other.
Yeah. Well, Jay, what do you have significantly lower on your list? Give us your 91 through 95. And then
oh, man. Okay, so number 91, I'm going to start with the Cover Girls and We Can't Go Wrong. The phrase coattails springs heavily to mind. I would say that We Can't Go Wrong is like a glitter-covered participation trophy. It's so determined to sound upbeat that it forgets to be a song. Number 92, I have Jody Watley and Everything, because it's the kind of song that mistakes volume for emotion and repetition for depth, like being serenaded by someone who just discovered the word love and refuses to let it go.
That's scary accurate.
How about number 93, I have Kuiper and Tic-Tac-Toe. As owner of a lonely heart, gets maybe the worst sampling I've ever heard. And the rap is basically ninja rap from the Ninja Turtles movie. So, there's that. Do with that what you want.
Oh, that cooked me.
At number 94, I'm going to get some flack for this, is George Michael and Praying for Time. It sounds like he discovered social commentary halfway through a nap and decided to sing about it in slow motion. It's a 5-minute sermon on injustice that somehow manages to make time itself feel longer.
I mean, you're not going to get much flack from me at 66, so not fantastic.
Holy shit, so did I.
You have a 66 as well? Dude, you guys' this list is scary.
This is really fucking weird.
Oh my God.
At number 95, I have Mellow Ace Man and Mentirosa. It's a decent sample from Evil Ways, but he's basically a lounge chair. I definitely wanted more energy from Sendog's brother. And then at number 96, Sending All My Love. by Linear is wallpaper trying to dance. It's bland on bland and somehow proud of it. There's a vaguely interesting keyboard lick buried somewhere in there, gasping for air under the weight of just the dullest vocal performance this side of a yawn. The drums sound like they were programmed by someone who fell asleep halfway through the demo, like all tinny snare and no pulse. It's the kind of song that thinks it's romantic because it rhymes love with above and heart with apart, while radiating the emotional depth of a corporate voicemail greeting. And even for late 80s pop, this song is aggressively forgettable. It's a sonic shrug in moose heavy hair.
I had this particular rice cake at number 79, so I was in the same wavelength as you were.
Hold, please.
It's getting better and better. Well, Dan is we have a little bit of foreshadowing, but what is going to slot in at your number 97?
Well, I'll even give that, not that. Right? But I will start with this statement, which shouldn't surprise anyone. At some point, all good things come to an end. Sports dynasties wind down. Successful businesses eventually move on. Musical artists find themselves moving from the currents to the classics, and they just stop having hits. If they're lucky, their last chart topper is a memorable capstone to a memorable career. And sometimes that final top 10 hit is an utter abomination, making future generations question why in God's name you spent hard-earned money on the single. I mean, really, what kind of man would work their day and spend a portion of those earnings on What Kind of Man Would I Be by Chicago? At best, a misguided one, that too. Chicago is a band that seemingly spent the 80s always about 3 years late to the party, and this Drek is no exception. They're trying to force themselves into the box of a hair ballad, all while dealing with the slow loss of their own hair. If we're using This One's for the Children as our measuring stick for weakness, What Kind of Man Would I Be tips the scales at about the power of the standing army of Kiribati, which doesn't have a standing army. Although they do have a police service, and I would trust them to produce a better written pop song. If you've heard me complain about any Chicago single in past episodes, well, then you've heard all this before.
Yes.
It does get points for the horn solo at the bridge, but that's about it. The same bad keyboard sounds, the same spine-tingling swells of shrill synths, the same bleh vocals, a power ballad that had almost everything possibly interesting scrubbed out of it, leaving us with the faint scent of pine. And the 4 minutes and 21 seconds of suffering that is, What Kind of Man Would I Be?
I have it at 65, but I think just to mess with you.
Fair. I think.
I literally took no notes on the song. There's nothing in that comment box.
Here's the thing. Just like the song itself.
Yeah.
I will say this is one of the rare cases where I feel like I ranked a song too highly. I feel at number 30 on the nose. This, in thinking about the comparison with other Chicago songs, I don't know that this makes my top 10 Chicago of all time. I really don't think it does. Perhaps that is because of the absence of one Peter Cetera and the entrance of one Jason Scheff, who sounds like he would be more at home as a professional chef than as the lead vocalist of one of the most prolific bands of the last 50 years. But here we are. It's fine. It's an okay song, but it certainly is not one that I'm going to seek out, even as an unabashed Chicago fan.
All right. Well, what do you put in that slot on your list then? And then 97.
So at number 97, I do have to say that if one of you came up to me before I knew that I was doing this list and asked me, before I even saw what this list consisted of, and asked me how many covers of Shy Lights songs there would be on this list, I would have guessed one, because why else would you be asking me such a very specific, weird question? I absolutely wouldn't guess two. I absolutely wouldn't think that I'd be comparing two of them to each other. But here we are. Paul Young's cover of Oh Girl, number 56. It was fine. It was decent. It was whatever. It happened. MC Hammer's cover of Have You Seen Her was a bit worse. It's basically the original song, kind of in its original format, with Hammer doing his best in air quotes, heartfelt R&B singer impersonation, yet coming off as, if anyone's familiar with the ex-football player, current content creator Anthony Spice Adams, and the work that he does kind of parodying the old head, the older person who's maybe in his 40s or 50s but hasn't realized that the world has passed him by in terms of style and fashion. That is what MC Hammer sounds like on this track. And it's not even a thing of the time, because I feel like that's what he would have sounded like at the time, that this was what this sounded like. It sounded old in 1990 because it is old, because the song is incredibly old and is not a cover. It's almost a voiceover. It's a dub on top of Have You Seen Her? It's something that just didn't need to be messed with. And if it was going to be messed with, I much would have rather him had performed a legitimate cover of the track. It would have been bad, don't get me wrong, but at least it would have been better than whatever his interpretation of the song actually was.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said. You know what? I'm just going to go into it because my number 97 song is Have You Seen Her by MC Hammer. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it, because that song is what happens when sentimentality gets lost in a cloud of parachute pants and ego. He takes that Chai Light song, which is pretty, if clunky. It's not a great song, but it's a pretty, somewhat clunky song. Yeah. And he smothers it in layers of that faux soulful talk singing thing that he does. A bunch of synth strings and some melodrama that's thick enough to choke a preacher. His delivery of the song is so self-serious that it borders on parody, like he's auditioning for a soap opera that only exists in his mirror. But there's also, on top of that, there's Sinbad's infamous lip sync performance of the song, which I think is supposed to be a parody, but somehow it manages to outdo the original in both awkwardness and misplaced confidence. So the two of those songs together sort of they took this once serviceable song and trap it forever in Hammer time.
100% the first time I heard this song, I thought it was a bit. 100% accurate from what you said. Like, yeah, I didn't know that he was, as the moment I realized he was being sincere, I was like, oh no, that's not it. MC, not like this.
No, not like this.
Hammer did hurt him.
I mean, everything you guys said and all that. I mean, 86. I mean, it's right there on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's another one where 80 through 90 could also easily be a part of the bottom 10.
Yeah,
totally.
Easily, like Jesse James.
Well, what else made your bottom 10 then? What's at 98?
I feel like I keep adding these things as intros. These little nuggets of wisdom. But it's also a well-known saying that 2 data points do not make a trend. But I'd be willing to posit that 3 data points are definitely the start of one. So when I say that 1990 was a bad year for power ballads, and I think we've all felt that way so far on one level or another, I really mean to continue the present evidence for that hypothesis. And we get yet another chance to say that a band's history of putting songs in the top 40 comes to an end after their chart entry in 1990. And also, way to go out with a fart of a power ballad that could have been done by about 6,000 other hell metal groups' Kiss. And yes, I know their most successful song was their first power ballad, Beth, and a testament to their fans that their last was their second best charting track, Forever. And much of what I said about New Kids and Chicago applies here. This is weak, thin, boring, and as cookie cutter as Three Rivers Stadium was. Everyone else was doing shit like this, so Kiss had to get one in as well, apparently. The Michael Boltonization of hard rock. The thing is, in 1990 was the dying days of hair metal, and pretty soon the idea that every bad boy had a soft side would be less of a selling point and more fodder for jokes and Time Life compilations. And yes, as Zach mentioned, I did make the Michael Bolton joke for a reason, because he co-wrote the fucker. Mm-hmm. The thing is, this feels more like an example of a songwriter keeping the best material for himself and then tossing the scraps off to some collaborators. He did some decent work for himself in 89 and 90.
Mhm.
This wasn't any of it. It's somehow hard to believe that a group known for selling out could possibly sell out as much as they did here. But dude, watch the music video and watch any time they cut to Gene Simmons. That putz is trying so hard to look like he actually wants to be in that room. Not enough to stand up and actually play, but you can see it on his face. Not even he can believe they recorded this oversized ball of hairspray smothered cheese.
Despite its entry at number 10 on my list, I don't disagree with the word you said.
It's fair. And remember what I said about Motley Crue writing a Jesse and the Ripper song?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, for some reason, think at some point John Stamos actually did a version of that song. I could be wrong, but if he didn't, it certainly feels like a song that he would do.
Oh my gosh, I got to look for that. I'm hoping, I'm praying that actually happened. You know what else unfortunately happened? So think of the boy bands that you had from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and the counters to those boy bands being the I think I'd mentioned them earlier in this episode, the actresses formerly of Disney shows that had kind of come to prominence, the Britney Spearses, the Christina Aguileras of the time. So think of that vibe and add a Paula Abdul filter to it, but like the worst Paula Abdul filter you have in your entire catalog, in your entire application, whatever Fruity Loops-esque app you're using, apply it twice just for funsies. And you've got Whole Wide World by Amy Lorraine. That is A''M-E, Amy. If you are wondering of the alternative spelling, but I would posit that A catastrophe M-E is more appropriate. The weirdest part of this song is that I had heard a live version also from 1990 when she had performed on the Rick D show, which was a thing, believe it or not. And it sounded better. It sounded way better, way more polished, way cleaner than the studio version of the song. Because I don't know how you make a song demonstrably worse in the studio than you do actually performing it live on some random late night talk show. But congratulations, Amy Lorraine. You achieved exactly that.
I have that song at 52, but I only wrote that it was pure downtown Julie Brown territory.
I mean, everything to add, I had it down at 79.
Yeah, I figured it'd be in the dregs for both of you.
It was so good, I can't honestly remember anything about it as you decided to describe it. So that should say everything it needs to say.
Yeah, you're missing nothing, I promise.
Nope.
Jay, are we missing anything from your number 98?
Well, no, but partly because it's already been mentioned. I will read what I wrote because I enjoyed it. But my number 98 is the kind of cloying, sanctimonious claptrap that makes you want to donate earplugs instead of money. That's New Kids on the Block, and this one's for the children. It is a faux inspirational Christmas ballad, and I wrote Christmas in all caps because it's not. So drenched in syrup you could pour it on pancakes, complete with over-enunciated vocals and a children's choir cynically airdropped in for maximum Hallmark manipulation. The lyrics kind of read like a UNICEF pamphlet written by a marketing intern, and the arrangement plods along like a PBS telethon in 2025. No hope in sight. Every note screams manufactured sincerity as if moral authority could be auto-tuned. This song is a 4-minute hostage situation in pastel sweaters.
A+.
Can I just need to point something out because you emphasized it was supposed to be a Christmas song. Christmas nor holiday are mentioned anywhere in this fucking thing.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
You have several religious references. That's about the closest you're going to get to Christmas in the song.
Correct.
Right. Children's choirs are Christmassy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of. Yes.
All right, Dan, 99 me.
All right. And I'll be honest, I thought I had a lot more to go on for my number 99 song because I thought it contained one of the worst euphemisms for sex in pop, which is saying something if that was the case.
A very low bar.
But as I read the lyrics of Kuiper's Tic-Tac-Toe a few more times, it really isn't a direct reference to lovemaking. It's a little more nuanced, and I would contend a little more sexist. that the only way that you can get into a woman's pants is to play along with her game of tic-tac-toe, or worse, trick her into losing that game and therefore getting with you? Either way you want to read that, it's not a great piece of writing. It gets the lick of Owner of a Lonely Heart very dirty in the process, and it is one of the most 1990 songs on this entire list. And because I had to switch up my thinking in the middle of writing, allow me to extend this to share a few more examples of the worst euphemisms for sex in song. Pitbull's Hotel Room Service graces us with, "Your man just left, I'm the plumber tonight. I'll check your pipes. Oh, you the healthy type. Well, here goes some egg white."
Jesus Christ.
Florida Georgia Line contribute the brilliant, "I sit you up on a kitchen sink and stick the pink umbrella in your drink" from Sundays. But they all cannot touch tonight's grand prize winner, all the way from Leeds, giving us proof that the English didn't use up all their romance points in Shakespeare's sonnets. It's Alt J's Every Other Freckle with "Turn you inside out and lick you like a crisp packet."
Ugh.
Applaud not for any of the songwriters, but merely because I'm done.
That sounds more like Hannibal Lecter wrote it. Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna add one from Spinal Tap, but I don't think it fits anymore.
No.
Because my baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo. I want to sink her with my pink torpedo is much better than that.
They're far better written than anything I just read.
Yeah.
But that should tell you all you need to know about tic-tac-toe, is that I would much rather go find horrible euphemisms for sex and song than talk about it for 3 minutes.
Mission accomplished. Holy shit.
Well,
What do I do after that?
you hurriedly read your next entry on the list. That's what you do.
Well, here's the unfortunate part. A, it's a song that has already been talked about, and B, I didn't really feel like it was fair to give more work, more effort, more emphasis than the original song's artist gave in the original song. So I deliberately did not write a single word for my silent takedown of Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby. Anything that needs to be said has been said, and that does not include the song itself, because none of that needed to be said whatsoever.
Actually, I think the absolute silence says everything that needs to be said about that song.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
So with that, Jay, I will pass it to you for your number 99.
Yeah. So for the record, I know both of you had it in your bottom 10. I had it at 83. So, same as.
Yeah.
My number 99 has also been mentioned, is Two to Make It Right, as performed by Seduction. So Two to Make It Right, guts. Just guts. Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock's jubilant It Takes Two, and dresses that carcass in bargain bin synths, turning one of hip hop's most infectious hooks. Whether you like Rob Bass's tune or not, it's an infectious hook. And it turns it into a tired loop that sounds offended to be there. The sample is butchered, turning it into a limp echo that betrays the source's swagger. And the rest of the production pads around like cheap material trying to pass for substance, which, to be fair, sums up a lot of the late 80s and early 90s. The vocals are flattened into syrupy platitudes, and the beat lurches like a DJ forgot to warm up. The whole track plays like a corporate cover band's audition tape for a nightclub that's already closed. It's a textbook example of how not to repurpose a classic. Sacrilege served with a glossy smile.
That last bit sounded way too good for this podcast.
Right.
and way too good for discussing such a shit song, too.
Oh, my God. Yes. You put more thought and effort into those last 60 seconds that they did into the entire production of that song.
100%.
Probably true, yes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it already. There's no arguments at all.
No, it's ass.
Yeah, nope. Exactly.
But not the worst song on the list.
Yep.
No.
At least on my list. Dan, hit us. What is the number 100 song from 1990?
Okay, so despite everything I've said about this year in music and this year in Hot 100, I think I've only gotten to the only really truly terrible track in the entire rundown. Everything else has something you can point to move to the, I guess, sort of good side of the chart. Even I had something to say about a late period Chicago single after all. But at the very bottom of the year is the only song that I heard that had nothing that could gain points. Like, there was no positive points to it, just L after L after L. And all of those belong to the freestyle pop group Linear and their sole top 10 hit, Sending All My Love. I guess the real question is, where do I start? All the vocals here are double and or triple tracked, or all three members of the group sing every line, which after a little bit makes it sound like none of you can sing a lead. So instead of everybody gets to be the lead. It's the old, if you have three lead singers, you have no lead singers. That is when you can actually hear the lyrics over the Casio keyboard test pattern that masquerades as a melody. It's less pop song and more the sound of the game board being mixed up on tic-tac-toe. Look that one
That's
up.
a deep ass cut. Jeez.
Yeah.
I love it. Was that Chuck Woolery?
Nope, that was Wink motherfucking Martindale.
Yes.
The thing is, if you can get past those noises, don't worry. Once you've barely made out the first four lines, you've heard all the lines. But despite forgetting to write a full song of lyrics, Linear thought it was still important to give us nearly 4 minutes of synth stabs and bleep bloops. They were early Kesha before Kesha was even born. Even Milli Vanilli would have asked them to write more song for them.
God,
The very best outcome for this song, the best case scenario, is that it would barely be heard in the background of a club scene in the one and only season of Thunder in Paradise, because they needed a cheap track that sounded like it was contemporary and that someone might dance to it who had no idea what music was since 1967, which fits for that show. God Lord, we were in a weird place as a music buying public in 1990.
Yeah, we were.
it's just not good. There's nothing redeeming about it at all.
No, sir. I don't like it.
Well, I know you're not going to like my number 100 because it's something you talked about already.
Oh, okay.
And you didn't talk about it in very, very glowing terms, and I'm not going to either. So we're very much in lockstep here yet again on this list, because there are three very distinct parts of this song that alone would facilitate it being in my bottom 10. But we've got to play the sum of the parts game and add or subtract, I guess, as it were, all of them up to get to the very, very bottom, number 100 of 100. We'll hit on each one briefly, even though briefly is far more time than the song Tic-Tac-Toe by Kuiper truly deserves. First of all, the namesake, as Dan has already gone into in great detail, the whole song amounts to nothing more than an idiotic comparison of sex to a game of tic-tac-toe where, best that I can tell, Kuiper is the X because it's in the word sex, and his girls of choice are the O because it's in the word no, presumably? Yikes. Big yikes. They may not want you, fellas, which is fine because you can change their minds when you pull up in the Benz. Then they'll be throwing themselves at you. That's all it takes, guys. Like, actually go fuck yourself, Kuiper, first and foremost. Secondly, Owner of a Lonely Heart is a fantastic jam and an absolutely terrible sample, and I feel very strongly about both of those as objective statements. That's before it was combined with Africa Bambaata's Planet Rock. There were choices made not only in the lyrics and the delivery, but also in the production, and I would like to have a conversation with everyone involved. The third thing, I honestly was too angry at this point of writing to remember what the third thing was that I had originally written down in the first part of my notes. So you don't get that. All you get is another fuck you to Kuiper, fuck you to Tic-Tac-Toe, and the hope that this song does eventually get delivered straight to Planet Rock. Although I will give America a little bit of a nod here, because although this did end up in the year-end list, and it shouldn't have by any stretch of the imagination, it at least ended up as number 100. So even though it's a miss, there's still something that we can say that the people were maybe kind of sort of in the right vein, that this is absolute trash.
God, y'all left me feeling like I had it too high at 93.
Yeah, it was that was the one for me. That was my linear basically. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Yep, everything." I got to rank 99 other songs. This one's taken care of.
You know what the weirdest thing about that is I went into this and legitimately figured that was going to be my 100 because I've heard it. I had heard it before.
Oh,
And I'm like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I know what that exact is. And it's a pile of hot garbage.
yeah. I had not ever heard the song in my life until doing this list, and
Many people have not, I'd imagine.
I feel like I was better for having gone 40 plus
Yes.
years with never having encountered the song.
Indeed.
Glad we can enlighten you as a podcast.
Jay, is your number 100 going to be enlightening?
I mean, you know better than that.
True.
It has already been mentioned, but it's been a minute, so we're going to go ahead and go through this because "Swing the Mood" by Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers is a cheap novelty mug that somehow topped the charts. It's plastic. It's smug. It is utterly devoid of artistic merit. It's a Frankenstein's monster of borrowed swing and rock and roll staples, stitched together by a soulless rabbit mascot and marketed to people who think nostalgia means pressing shuffle on someone else's greatest hits. Every transition feels like a wedding DJ's fever dream, slapping Glenn Miller against Bill Haley with all the finesse of a bricklayer mixing custard. It's not a remix, it's musical taxidermy.
Wow. Sorry, I'm just reveling in that description. Washing over me. And it's entirely accurate because there is nothing. The only piece of creativity was the ordering of these tracks. And that I would say that doesn't count for literally anything.
No, it counts if you're a DJ doing it live, maybe.
True.
Even in that scenario, it's still bad.
I have absolutely no reason to explain why it did or how it did, nor defense for this, because you are correct, but it was still 36 for me.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know why. Maybe it was just in the mood to hear something by a wedding DJ. Maybe I just really like Glenn Miller. I don't know.
I could at least see if you treated it as the parts and not the sum, because obviously these songs, you mentioned Bill Haley, the Everly Brothers check in, Glenn Miller, Elvis, of course, has several tracks on this. Like, these aren't bad songs that are a part of this medley. So looking at it like that, yeah, maybe you could draw something in that vein to it. But despite all of that, we do have to spring back up to the very top of the list and end on a good note, as we mentioned. So, Dan, hit us with your number one song of the Billboard Rerank of 1990.
Cool. And this time I can knock my number one song out quickly because it's already been mentioned, and God damn it, I stick to the rules. And it's also one of my favorite songs in this artist's catalog. So I'm pretty sure that I've already extolled the virtues of this song at some point in the run of the show, which you should probably go eventually. Just go searching for it in this current podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, and then you'll find me talking about it. So there can really be no surprise that while hitting the final Hot 100 at number 98, there can only be number one. Of course, it's Prince and Thieves in the Temple. And I'll just reiterate that it's one of my favorite Prince songs and therefore number one.
It's number one. It's rule one. I mean, what more do you want?
I put it at 17, so I break rules all the time.
Wow. Rebel.
Bad boy.
Without a cause.
Without showing his soft side.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, Prince absolutely did not show his soft side on this track either. I do love I don't want to say aggression, maybe that's a little too far, but it definitely is a little more than we typically got from the more, romantic Prince jams that we all know and love.
Intensity.
Thank you. That's a way better description.
There you go.
I love the chorus of the song. I think the verses are fairly banal for him, which is why it wound up at 17 instead of, following the rule.
Which is maybe fair. Banal for Prince is probably like Shakespearean for most humans.
It's top 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're saying all these things and then it still is ranking high because it's, Well, I did not have rule one to facilitate my number one. It is something that has already been discussed, but I do have to mention that as everyone knows, as the two of you know, and most people have been listening to this podcast for a long time now, I am not a movie watcher whatsoever. I have seen so relatively few movies compared to other people, but I am very happy that Pretty Woman is one of the movies that I have seen, because not only was it a legitimately fun movie, but it had a fantastic soundtrack that I'm pretty sure that I've spoken about to some extent on a different episode or maybe episodes of this podcast. Dan, you'd mentioned King of Wishful Thinking by Go West, an absolute bop that ended up on that soundtrack. Barely missed my top 10 at number 11. But my number one song was also on that soundtrack, and it is an all-time jam in 1990 or any other year. And that is It Must Have Been Love by the acclaimed Swedish duo Roxette. It's a song that's fitting of the emotional climax of a movie, but it's also a great song in a vacuum. From Marie Fredriksson delivering the lyrics with a ton of feeling, a ton of longing and sadness, to Pari Gessle's superb melody backing up the whole thing, you got yourself a bona fide hit. Certainly not the only hit from this duo, but to me, the most impactful, the most emotive, and the best song in their catalog.
It's fair. I believe I agree with you.
Yeah. I had it 8, so obviously I'm there.
Oh, man, I had this song at 11. So, I mean, really, like, I'm with you on the song. Best song in their catalog. I like a few of their songs, so we're going to have that conversation. But
excellent.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But it's up there.
I'll take the victories where I can get them. After forever, I feel like I'm happy to get one in the W column. But Jay, we have one more piece of business, and that's the last song in your W column. What was your number one?
Yeah, so my number one song, technically I did follow the rule. Because Nothing Compares to You, as performed by Sinead O'Connor, has to be, at least for people who like music, one of the best songs ever performed. You could maybe have arguments about the songwriting, but Ms. O'Connor's delivery of this is unparalleled. It is simplistic, it is raw, but it's still catchy and timeless. It's the best song in 1990. And it is still a Prince song. So technically, I didn't break the rule.
That is absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not even like a loophole. That's just factual truth.
No, but I could start an argument that should happen on another day. But I actually, now that we've heard some of his original takes on the track, not the version released by the family, but some that he did as a solo artist, I think her performance does more for the track than his.
Absolutely. There's a reason that when he was in the studio with her, he was like, yeah, fine, it's yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like you can
there's a reason
song,
for that.
but this is your song now.
Right. Yeah.
And he was right. He was absolutely right to make that call.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful song. And with that, gentlemen, 1990 comes to a close.
That's a far better note to end everything on.
Yes. Absolutely.
Agreed. There were so many songs we didn't talk about on this list. And we're curious what you think, listeners, if you think that there are songs that we either ranked too low, too high, songs that we didn't get to that you thought should have been in the top or the bottom of our list. As always, hit us up on the socials. Let us know what you think. It's at Fairly KickAss on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. It's fairlykickass.com for the links to the Ride Along playlist, which do live over on Spotify, but you'll be able to get to our profile from the website and also all of the playlists within. This will very possibly just be a link to someone else who we will give credit to that has already put all these songs together. Give credit where it's due for someone going through the effort of compiling all of these in meticulous detail. fairlykickass@gmail.com for all of your email correspondence. Operators are standing by as always. And also, as always, look for Fairly Kickass wherever you get your podcast of choice, as Dan had mentioned earlier in the show. Any parting words for the year that was 1990, boys?
Hair metal and adult contemporary are indistinguishable.
I can't right now.
I got my, you make my head hurt sometimes, you know that.